So, hello, Andrew. Thank you for joining me today. As part of the Midlands Retail and Hospitality Forum, we're really keen to get someone like yourself to come and talk about the current impact on businesses during COVID. And of course, we're at that really busy time of the year. Retail has been affected, hospitality has been affected. COVID doesn't seem to go away. And I'd really love to get some of your thoughts on these topics today. So do you want to start off by introducing yourself and your organisation, please?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm Andrew Goodacre, Chief Executive for the British Independent Retailers Association, or BIRA for short. We have 4,000 members, all independent retailers throughout the UK. We cover a wide range of sectors. We are very much a general association or general retail association. We go from a small pet shop to an independent department store. So we see all aspects of retail, and it is dynamic, it is creative, it is a great place to be, and many of our members have been around for many years.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for that. So thank you for giving us your time today. It's very easy to get caught up in all the high street crises we've had over the recent years, Brexit impact, and now COVID, and we sort of can easily forget the role of the high street, the independent retailer.
Yes.
There are millions of them out there. Is that what you guys? How long have you been set for? And is that what you guys were trying to support when you set up?
Yeah, it is. I mean, the history of our group is long and very proud. Technically, BIRA is formed out of many smaller associations over the years. And if we go back to the early days of the British Hardware Federation, which was one of the founding groups, then last year we were 120 years old. So there is a rich heritage to us. We are about supporting businesses. We want businesses. We want people to thrive. We want the business owners to succeed and fulfill their ambitions. And everything we do is geared towards that. Some of it is direct servicing. Some of it is the representation we make to government, local and national, in order to make sure that the independent retailer has a voice.
Brilliant. So good to hear that, and it's definitely what we're about as well. Something I found is that your independent retail and your bigger corporate brand, there is a few different things about the way they can be maybe more innovative, more reactive, more unique. Is that what you found in your experience?
Yes, I joined BIRA in 2018, and relatively new to retail from that perspective. And one thing I would say I've noticed immediately on meeting members, and especially during this current COVID-19 situation, is they are incredibly agile and good at readjusting their business. They're not involved with large chains. They're not managed by head offices 100 miles away, or whatever it could be. They don't have a brand book that they have to stick to. So they can look at their business model, particularly in relationship to their local market and their customers, and readjust that are necessary. The disadvantage of a small retailer is that agility. They need resources, either time, people, and money, to make all the changes as quickly as they would like. So they've got all the energy, they've got the ideas, but they don't always have the resources to do it at the speed or to the extent they would like. So there are advantages and disadvantages, but in general, a small retailer will succeed by being more creative, more focused on its customer base, and really about delivering a quality customer service.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I like that. And then in terms of the last word you used there, customer experience, it's a buzzword which has grown in more prominence recently. How would you describe what that really means practically to say the independent retail owner is a business owner, operator, him and his partner, or her and her partner work? What does that word really mean to them?
It means everything, because that's the way they engage and create customer loyalty. I'll give you a couple of really good practical examples. One of them is more obvious than the other. In hardware stores, there are quite a lot of our members. That's about giving advice to customers on how to use tools, how to do certain jobs around the home. They're buying DIY, they're buying stuff for the garden or the home. So that's a fairly obvious one and simple one. But I was talking to a clothing retailer recently who just reopened. And on the reopening of shops, there was a clear issue or ambiguity around changing rooms. And the large stores are closing down the changing room because they felt as if it wasn't safe to operate. We had several businesses contact us about changing rooms and say, can we open our changing room? And when I said to them, why is it so important that we do? It is where they do the business, because in a changing room in a small clothing shop, it is one-to-one service with that customer. The member staff or the owner talks, works, shares the trying on experience with the customer. And it's also where they sell on the extra accessories as well, of course. So it is very much where they do their business. It's where they close the sale. So they needed changing rooms open. And we worked with them and we ensured that they could do it legally and safely, both for customers and their staff. And that's so important to those businesses because it fulfills their desire and their ethics to deliver fantastic customer service.
Brilliant. Yeah, very good. And also, as an independent, they're possibly more invested in selling those little add-ons, whereas maybe as a chain store or a corporate store, they maybe have less incentive to do that.
Well, quite often, if you go in, if we say on the clothing market, which has been the most damaged by COVID-19 anyway, you go to the store and it's fairly contactless in fairness. You pick up clothes from the rail, you walk maybe 50 yards, you want to change them, pick up a token and wander out again. And there's not much interaction. You go into a smaller shop and it is all about the interaction. It is all about the ability of the staff to engage with the customer, reassure them, and give them advice and actually say, that doesn't look nice on you, or that does look nice on you. And then it's about selling up from there, because it's the other accessories that provide the extra sale and the extra bonus of profit that goes with it all. But actually, the customer appreciates the advice of mixing and matching and adding to their purchase. So it works all round. And you're quite right. The quality of service needs to be better in an independent shop because they haven't got the brand presence of the high street chain. Yeah.
Absolutely. And sometimes, you know, I always think that just serving the customer, and we stick with the clothing retailer, just helping them find their size and all those bits and pieces, that should just be the basics, you know, that should just be the baseline, right? That should be the basic standards of what they're there to do. Would you agree?
I totally agree. It is about putting your customer at ease. It is about understanding what your customer would like. It's not, but doing it in such a way you're not intrusive, you're not pushy, and again, people learn from this. And with independent retail, you find lots of people who've been doing it for many years, and often family-run businesses. And so skills have been passed on to generations. They get passed on to their employees, and so there's a continuation there. There's a consistency there as well. And it's all about thinking about the customer, making the customer feel comfortable, because effectively, comfortable customers are more likely to buy.
Definitely. So that said, you know, the high streets, retail in general, we've had a pretty tough 24, 36 months. You know, we've had long sustained periods of difficult trading conditions, as everyone called it. You know, if we went back a few years, when I think the big one for me was when Toys R Us went bust, and soon after we had a few happen quite quickly, like Mothercare, and people started talking about this high street crisis.
Yes.
You know, this time last year we were all worried about Brexit and what was going to happen, and now we're into this COVID situation. With all this going down, what do you think, or what have you seen happen to retailers in terms of being able to maybe have more of an online and in-person presence? Where have you seen that changed, or what do you think still needs to happen?
No, I'll share some statistics, and it's work that we've been doing now for the last 18 months. And so we've been talking to members and non-members, but primarily members, about their business and what they are doing differently. And we do this through our member services team, or our customer service team, our marketing team, do it through research. And I would say pre-COVID, two key trends. One was that 67%, I think it was, of members said they had a website. And of that, only 24% were transactional websites, i.e. people would actually make a purchase online. More recently, we did a similar survey in October, and the number of members with a website was 85%, so a significant shift there. But more importantly, 50% of them had moved into a transactional website area. So there's been this, COVID has caused a crisis. Now, out of a crisis comes urgency, sometimes clarity of thought, and a real sense of direction, because it was clear then that if we didn't know the message already, that online was going to be very much part of the retail experience, supporting the shop, not necessarily replacing it. And what we've seen is an acceleration of our members, retailers, into the online arena. I would say that our focus and our support for them has been to say, well, yes, you need a website, you need to be functional on that website, it needs to be well designed and informative. But actually, what they also need is probably more important in some ways, is an online digital footprint presence, an awareness, because it's okay on your website, but you've got to be found. And we all know with retail online, it's a very different marketplace, a very different experience. People tend to shop by product, and then you're at the mercy of whoever's paid the most money for the relevant to be a top Google, and it goes on from that can be deep pockets in the large chains. So what we've encouraged our retailers to do is to say, well, look, you're local people, you're local retailers serving local communities. Work on your social media, work on Twitter, work on Facebook, work on all those opportunities you have to really engage your local community, and they'll be surprised by how far that reach goes. And those that have done that, alongside improving their website quality as well, are certainly seeing the benefit and seeing more product and more of their shopping being done online. It doesn't replace a shop, it complements it. And it's very much alongside it. And often it brings people to their business as well. So we've seen that happen. Then we've seen creativity with people using video technology like Zoom, as we're doing now, or again through Facebook, and sharing videos. So again, go back to clothing. If people have got a new range of clothing, then they're modelling it. They've got their staff to model it. It's all done that way, and they're engaging with their audience in that direction. And that would not have happened 9 months ago, because this sort of technology wasn't around in the same extent 9 months ago. So they become creative, they become really determined to make this technology work for them. There is a lot of catching up for them to do. We all know that, because COVID has accelerated the changes beyond levels we no one would have anticipated a year ago. But we are catching up, and those retailers, large and small, but the smaller ones, if they can connect with their local communities, they will continue to survive.
Yeah, brilliant. And you sort of touched on the next thing I wanted to get to, which is the fact that in a way we sort of knew as a retailer or as a hospitality business we needed to do some of this. Facebook and Instagram and everything else has been around for a while.
Yeah.
But in a way, COVID has pushed some of these businesses into action, hasn't it?
Correct. I totally agree. I was some doubting Thomas. I met early on in my time in this role, and I can understand that. In fairness, I'm of an age that doesn't naturally gravitate to internet shopping and so on, and social media, and I can understand why there were some doubts about it. What this crisis has shown is if you do it well, it just works for you. But you have to do it well, you have to do it consistently. In the same way they have to deliver great service one-to-one, face-to-face, which they do naturally, they have to sort of take some of that thinking, some of that ethos, and transfer it into their online world, and make sure that those same core messages, that their values come across, that their personality comes across, and their honesty comes across. Because people then buy into that. When I say people, the consumers, they devour social media. And it's about enabling them to know what is available locally, where do I get it, and who do they need to speak to. And you're right, we've seen many more businesses leap into that. Some have made mistakes on the way, absolutely. We've helped them by providing services that, again, it comes down to skills, and you don't have all the skills, we know that. So we could put them into.
But if you don't try anything, and some of these businesses weren't sure to try, but now they've had to try, and suddenly they found that they do have some of those skills.
Totally agree. And where we try to help them is say, well, if you want to bridge that skills gap, then talk to these companies, because this company is brilliant at social media presence. This company is brilliant at websites. This company is brilliant at, we've been working with various services that will allow through the barcode. If you scan a barcode with a system called Pointing, for instance, it will then take that product and place it for you into the Google search for local searches. So it enables you to appear much more readily on the search pages when people are looking. And it's that kind of technology that we're putting in front of our members on the basis of, look, you don't have to do it all yourselves. And if you've got a skills gap, talk to these people. They know what they're doing.
Yeah. And then the other one I want to pick you up on, the doubting Thomases. Let's take it out of the businesses, now gone to the customer side. Certainly something I've seen is, again, this time last year, there would still be some customers who were unwilling to put their credit card number and make, say, £100 or £1,000 purchase. I've seen a lot of movement that side as well. So whilst you've seen the movement on the retail, have you also seen the movement on the customer side where they're now ready to do online shopping?
Yes, absolutely. Because again, with a lockdown and certainly in the first lockdown, I think the customer take on it was, okay, I need to stay in. I only go out to get essentials like food. So if I want other things, then I'm going to have to go online and have a look actually and see what there is. And that certainly brought new users. I think lots of people were looking online, they're not transacting online before. Yeah. But now you get a lot more people transacting, and you're dead right. I think that the higher value items going as well. People have confidence in processes. They haven't been scammed first time of doing it. They had a good experience. And let's be honest, the companies that do online well, they deliver reliability, choice, they deliver good value, and they deliver convenience because they deliver to your door. So they do tick an awful lot of boxes to make a good shopping experience.
So do you think there are going to be some long-lasting or step changes once we ever get out of COVID? If we ever get out of COVID, some of the things you've talked about already, do you see any of those or any other things becoming step changes for us?
Yes, these are my thoughts, and I'm not saying I've got evidence that backs some of them up, but apart from online shopping, there's another important trend that's happened during COVID. And again, it's been accelerated because of COVID, and that is where people working from home more. And even when we get to the other side of this next year, and people are encouraged to go to the office, there'll be a lot more flexibility. And 95% of our workforce are working from home. I expect all of those people to ask me for flexibility and to choose when and where they want to work throughout the working week. And it won't always be the same day at home, and it won't be the same day in the office, but they'll want the flexibility. The let's focus on working from home, which brings people to stay longer in their local community, which means they're more readily available to visit the shops in their local community. So we've seen successes in suburban high street, we've seen successes in the larger villages, the smaller towns, where people have not travelled into the city, but are still local, made more of what's available to their locals. That's a positive impact for the local retailers and independents. I think we'll see more of that. It does mean, therefore, the city centres are going to change significantly in this same time, because their footfall, either from office workers or from weekend shoppers, is falling and is unlikely to recover in that way. So we'll see positivity and investment, I think, in more local high streets, and you'll see investment in city centres that will people move away from being over-reliant on retail to achieve that. I think another interesting factor is I suspect we will not see any more large chains develop, retail chains, because traditionally to have national coverage in the UK, you might have needed 200, 250 stores. These days, you might need a handful of stores with a really good website and using the internet to connect with where you haven't got the stores. And so I think that therefore means that there'll be less demand for retail units around the country as well. So that will change significantly in terms of where do those large retailers put the investment, and it's going to be through the less stores or online presence. The independent then has to sit in the middle of all that and say, right, what do I do? Well, we've got this opportunity of more people working from home, more flexibly, and that's an opportunity. And I think really it really is up to them to say, well, I want them to still know what I stand for, what my brand is, and how they can really reach out to me and how I can reach out to them. So they really do need to understand, go back to the same, the importance of social media to create their presence and awareness within the consumer mindset. So it's going to be a fascinating time in retail. It's always been dynamic, but I think the next couple of years we'll probably see more change than we've seen in the last 10 or 15.
Yeah, I think you made some really good points, and the middle point you made about the bigger chains maybe having less stores. I think possibly seeing that already, because as you were talking through that, I was thinking, we're both sort of Birmingham based. John Lewis have done something similar, haven't they? They've got a Solihull outpost. They've got a Tamworth one. I think they've got one in the Bullring still. I can't remember.
No, it's not the Bullring. It's the train station, isn't it?
Yeah. New Street one. So they've got less, and they're relying on online to fill in the gaps, I guess. And if you really need to go into one of their stores, you can.
Yeah, and of course the challenge for the online, and again, this is why it's not the panacea for everything, is I think there is still a gap between, let's say a store is closed at this moment in time, and online. The online sales will not match what it might normally sell in store. And that's still a gap that exists. You can't sell everything you might shop online because some people are still resistant to selling, to buying online. But it comes down to, it's very hard to sell online. It's very hard to sell accessories. Amazon have been doing it for a long time. They've got very smart technology that does it. But if you're a normal independent retailer and someone wants to buy a shirt, it's very hard to jump over the time. It goes with it. Because the website has to be quite smart to do that. And so it'll be almost impossible to transfer everything you might sell in store to online. That's why you need to make them work together. The large retailers, you mentioned John Lewis, clearly their strategy is less is more. They will have less stores for retail, and they'll reuse existing buildings. I think within their strategy, part of their plan is to redevelop some of their larger stores into residential property and start addressing the need for more homes in the UK market. So from a large retail point of view, it's about property and what you do with your property and how do you get your best return. For independent, it's about, this is my business and livelihood. What can I do to make the best of the time I put in it?
Yeah, great. Good insights there. Thank you. So we're into November. We've already talked about, it's potentially the busiest time of year, the golden quarter. We've got Black Friday on the horizon. Before I ask you what you think about what's going to happen, I am seeing some of the Black Friday offers coming online, seeing some of the TV advertising. We're definitely in the lockdown, so I don't know how that's going to work. What are your thoughts maybe on the whole Black Friday for 2020 in general, and then from an independence point of view?
That's a good question, and I say that because I've given up predicting in this current situation, because the normal laws of economics seem to have gone out the window, and so we're entering into high unemployment and a recession, and yet house prices have gone up, and that doesn't normally go. We've seen consumer spending still happening. Yes, it's not quite at last year's levels, but it's increasing month in, despite concerns about the economy and consumer confidence. So, did I think we'd have a good Halloween? I didn't, and yet the households went out there and spent more on Halloween items for their home to make it special for their children or whatever the case may be. Likewise with bonfire night, because we weren't the mass displays, we had lots of people selling fireworks, and more than ever to private residential properties. With Black Friday, I thought 4 weeks ago that would be a real big event, and lots of people would start early, which they've done. Probably go extra deep on some of the offers, which I'm not seeing just yet, but that may well happen. And I thought the consumers would wait for that to come along really. And then I saw last week a prediction from PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, saying that they thought Black Friday could be as much as 20% down on previous years. And I'm thinking, Well, I really don't know then. What will happen? It could be actually because people are more used to online shopping, and they've seen lots of offers in any case. And if you like my wife, who's very smart online, she'll use lots of vouchers that people get from various sites. So by the time you get to Black Friday and the offers there are no better than what you might get on a normal shopping visit online if you're smart about it and know where to go. And so Black Friday may not have the impact that it does have in previous years, but it's no longer disrupting the way people shop. It's simply adding to the way people shop because it's done online.
Yeah, I like that. I think you're absolutely right. And I think, you know, when we get over this year, if next year we're not in a lockdown, I think it'll just be part of the normal calendar.
Yeah.
As you say, you know, we're already expecting it. There won't be, as a shopper, it won't be such a shock, and you know, it'll already planned. That'll have some budget for that, I suppose.
I think in a way, I mean, we saw this happening in the last 2 or 3 years, where it used to be one day, and it used to be all about getting to store early. I remember now driving past the traffic centre when I worked in Manchester at 7 o'clock in the morning, and people were queuing, and that was the excitement of it. But retail learns, and it also recognises opportunities. And what's happened is that retail has actually brought Black Friday into away from one day. It began a 2-day thing, then it began a week, and I think it's already nearly a month event this month, with some people starting that early. In a way, that kind of way takes away some of the excitement of Black Friday, doesn't it? Because it suddenly becomes, well, okay, you just got a special offer on certain products. You have that anyway throughout the year. So what's the differences out there?
Yeah, there's no urgency, is there?
No, there isn't. No, and I think that is part of the problem for Black Friday in terms of sustaining itself that way. From an independent perspective, I'm told that in the past, before my time here, wasn't great for them because it was dominated by chains spending a lot of money on TV advertising, or the advertising online, and paid ad advertising, and then the massive balls offers that they do. But independents will typically, again, use their creativity to make something of it and to really create it. And it wouldn't surprise me, and we've heard of this, of independents saying, well, I can't be open on Black Friday. That, you know, bring this back into doing direct mail or emailing their customer base directly and saying, bring this voucher along the first weekend of, so Small Business Saturday becomes more important, which is on the 5th of December, and enjoy your Black Friday experience on that day.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. That's good. I mean, one of the things that I used to talk a lot about with Black Friday was, and any other sale, is you've got to have that doorbuster type thing, which is there's only 20 of these items, and instead of £100, they're now at £25. It's ridiculous, and you've almost got people breaking down your door, busting to get in.
Yes.
But you're right. You know, last year certainly, you know, people went from the Thursday to the weekend.
Yeah.
And absolutely right. It took away that doorbuster mentality, which meant it was just normal. It
does, and there's no sense. You mentioned urgency, and I think from a consumer point of view, there's no urgency now because it's almost as if, well, if I don't go on the actual day, I'll find it a day later.
Yeah.
And so the urgency is lost. It's so widely available, and actually now I think because retailers has been readjusting itself, I can't think of a time when a shop hasn't got some kind of an offer on.
Yeah.
You know, it's the old furniture DFS aspect, isn't it? Always a sale on. So
there's always a sale on.
Yeah,
there's always an offer.
Know. Yeah, and lots of retailers are on that route. Independents tend not to. Interesting. I noticed that. Yes, they'll do their best to try a loss leader or react quickly to a trend that is happening in store and so on with a certain fashion item or novelty product, whatever the case may be. But you know, when you have a sale, it means something, but it's not, and then it's gone, and then they're back to the way they are, and they really work hard to sell the product they have at the more normal price, just retaining the special feeling of getting a sale. You know, and I think their customer target market often likes the idea of knowing, well, I know I'm getting a special offer here, but you don't get it all the time.
Yeah. So let's roll that forward then. You know, hopefully we come out of lockdown, December. We've got Boxing Day, Christmas coming up. I'm sure the Office of National Statistics last year said Boxing Day footfall was up, even though quantity, actual numbers weren't necessarily proportionally as high. Do you see that pent-up demand? Do you see customers getting to that 5th of December thinking, do you know what, we've got to get out? What advice do you give to retailers for that period that might be coming up to us?
Yes, well, at the moment, it's not a normal year, as we know. So normally we would say, make sure you've got the stock, make sure you've got merchandise, etc. And all that's still very, very applicable. They've got to make sure that they get back in their shops in advance of opening, and that they've got their Christmas displays up, if they're not up already. They've got to make sure that the shop looks as if it's ready for the customer to come in. And the added extra is that they're also going to maintain their safety protocols in place so that customers feel safe to go into the shop. Because let's not forget, one of the challenges we've always had is that whilst the government is talking about the spread of the virus and asking people to socially distance and not to gather in groups, that challenges the consumer confidence to go out and about. Now, I think there will be some pent-up demand because I think the consumer is realising that you don't want to buy everything in November, and actually there's a bit of unfairness here because half a big chunk of the high street is closed down, so I'm not getting the full range, I'm not getting full awareness of what is available, and they will wait for certain items into December. And our businesses have got to look the part, they've got to feel the part, have their staff properly trained up on the products we want to sell, but at the same time make sure that there's strong safety messaging delivered as well. Let's have the hand sanitizer, let's have the posters out there, let's make sure you limit the numbers in any shop at any one time, so that people feel safe with that experience, and it's reassuring. And that's really important for the future as well, because we want to maintain the fact that retailing has been safe throughout this whole process and will continue to be so.
Yeah, and confidence is a key word you said there, isn't it? If I'm an independent business owner, if I'm looking forward to December thinking, oh, it's doom and gloom, I'm going to be a little bit down, my staff might be a little bit down, confidence has got to be there. We've got to be ready, I guess, to say there are going to be opportunities. People are going to be potentially gagging to get out safely, and that's going to be a big factor, would you say?
Oh, totally. And we are urging businesses to start planning now for the reopening. And I know it's difficult because we can't even say they're definitely going to open the 3rd, but they've got to plan now as if they are. And part of that planning is about making sure that your staff are ready to be open on the 3rd as well, and that you've got the product range in that you need to have in on that time. So the shop is clean and fresh, and it is not just reopened and woken up from a sleep, but it's actually bursting with energy, and they've got to get that energy into their business. Because customers feed off that. Customers like to know that when they're walking past or walking into that shop, that people want to be there and want to help them. Yeah. And it's leading in a small business. You have to lead by example to your staff. You are the owner. You set the tone, and he or she has to make sure that their staff are fully on board with it as well.
Okay, no, great, thank you. So looking forward then, 2021 and beyond. What else can small retailers do? I know there's a lot of government initiatives out there that we could potentially be seen to support. Anything there you can see that retailers can be doing a positive thing for?
Yes, we've been talking to government about how we bridge the skills gap that retailers need in the future. And we touched on that, I think, in terms of the sort of staff that independents need are going to be more technology orientated. People who really understand Facebook and social media, people who can work with a website. Now, as I say, some of those skills you can buy in, or you can have it in-house, or you can have both. So we want the government to deliver plans that enable retailers to tap into expertise that help them do that. And whether we do that through vouchers or through grants or whichever way we do it, there's no doubt that retailers need that expertise. They need the ability to have the confidence to learn from the experiences that they've suffered and some have enjoyed in 2020. 2021 needs to be a year of opportunity where they're able to build on what they've learned and make it even bigger and better going forwards. Other areas we need, I think the economy may need kickstarting and consumer confidence, and we've talked in the past with government about maybe reducing VAT on some areas and making that work. The biggest burden of the lot is business rates, which has been removed for a year. At the moment, businesses don't know what's happening in April. At the moment, it's coming back at its full rate. And if you're planning ahead, and even smaller business will look 6 months down the line and maybe 12 months ahead as well, then you need to know whether one of your biggest expenses is going to exist. And if it's levies that can resist that, I think the government really need to put some clarity in that area so that the business understands exactly what cash flow needs are going to be and how it's going to address it.
Okay, brilliant. Well, look, Andrew, it's been great talking to you today. Really appreciate your honest and open comments and guidance for retailers who are listening. Tell us a little bit about BIRA, please. I know that you guys do provide a lot of support to independent retailers. We'll put some links in the show notes, but just tell us something a little bit about how they can get access to that information.
Yeah, so we are a fairly traditional organisation, a membership association, and all we do is retail, and people can find us on the website, obviously, and pay an annual membership fee for that. On average, people pay us, it's about £205, I think, is the entry level. It's based on turnover. But I think where we're different and unique, we've got some features that we wouldn't find anywhere else. One is, we have an employment helpline, a legal helpline. That's quite common around there, but ours is very good. It's available 24/7, and it's all part of your membership. That's the most used service we have. We do have two fairly unique subsidiaries or extras. One is we're our own bank, BIRA Bank. It's the smallest bank in the country, and it was set up specifically to work with our members. And it offers loans and savings products. We don't do branches, we don't do internet banking, we're not that far advanced. But what we do is old-fashioned relationship banking. People can phone up to someone like a decision for them and information given. And we do competitive rates for loans and really competitive rates for savings. So that's unique to us. And the other thing that's unique is that we run buying groups. So it's focused around the hardware, DIY, homeware, cookware, giftware sector in the market. We have about anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 users of it per month. And basically, we act as an intermediary between members, the retailers, and suppliers, and it allows members to get prices and products on terms that they wouldn't normally get. We act as a guarantor behind that transaction with the supplier, and that's just great, because in this market it's high margins, good products, diverse range of products at good prices on members. And allows them to be competitive out there. And so those two features I think you don't normally find in standard membership associations. And we're very proud of those and want to build and work with those in the future. And then the other big I think we get better at is representation. So, and this is really important because when decisions are made about lockdowns or government policy on business rates and so on, then it's easy just to focus on the large stores and chains because they are easy to see, they're visible, and they're large entities, let's face it. So we've worked very hard to establish strong relationships with government departments, and I would say 18 months ago were crucial in the decision to introduce a retail discount on business rates for the lower for the smaller businesses below £51,000 rateable value. And that's a real success for independent retailers. And funny enough, everyone benefits from that, whether you're a member or not, which is fantastic. It's just a shame that it doesn't inspire more people to join us, because the more people did join us, the more we could do in that respect as well. We don't exclude anyone, and you can get some of the benefits without being part of it. But it is about really your industry and your sector. And our message to all retailers, independent retailers, is take care of it. And by joining a group like BIRA, you can make a contribution and make a difference.
Brilliant. All right, well, look, wonderful to speak to you today.
And you, thank you.
Hopefully, what you've talked about will give some support and advice to people who are looking for it. And I look forward to seeing more people supporting yourself and seeking out yourself for that support.
And thank you. And I think it's great what you're doing. I really do. I think it's great to have these different entities engaging with the retail sector, and especially at the independent sector. So thank you for the opportunity, and look forward to further cooperation in the future.
No, brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.